Hey there, everybody. What is going on? DK, thanks for the thumbs up. I really appreciate that. So first of all, can you guys hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. We have, so I don't know if you can see outside over there, but super windy outside and starting to rain. So I just want to make sure that everything sounds good and and the internet's not breaking up and things like that. So let me know. Hey, Maddie, how you doing? I see you on there. Okay, so first things first, let me know where you're chiming in from and if you guys had a good week. I had a great week, very, very jam-packed, full of stuff. Got a lot of things done at work and also got a lot of projects coming up. Renee Porter says hello from Virginia Beach. Hey, Mom, how are you? So, if you guys have been keeping up with me, I have a few big projects coming up that I'm pretty excited about. Bob Williams says Tiger Point, Florida. What's up, Bob? Maddie says hello from Virginia Beach. So we have some really cool projects coming up, kind of big projects. And one of them is going to be a big charcuterie board. This one's going to be like 2 feet wide by 3 feet long, pretty big. And I have a really nice piece of black walnut. It was like a piece very close to the top, so it's mostly sapwood, has a little bit of hardwood in it, but it has like a bunch of branches came out, so it looks pretty cool. So that one, I'm excited for that one to come up. DK says Foxborough, Massachusetts, and yeah, it's been good. Melanie says hi from Oklahoma. AJ, hello. It says hello, Coventry Woodcraft from Pottstown, Pennsylvania. That's awesome. Alex says hello from Houston, Texas. Tom Smith says hey from Virginia. Tom Smith from Virginia. What is going on, fellow Virginian? How you doing? Anyway, guys, let's just dive right in. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to just put them in the comment section. Once again, if you guys want to support this channel, Super Chat is available. All that is type in a dollar amount, type in your comment. It'll post it to the top of the screen. And it'll leave it up there for a little while. But feel free to ask any question you'd like. Says the Regina Carpenter. Hello from Regina. Hello. So anyway, there's a couple of big projects coming up that I'm pretty excited about. And one, if you saw the last shop talk, I think I had the thumbnail. Excuse me. The thumbnail was of a big white oak slab, and we're going to be doing a 9-foot by 4-foot dining room table out of some really cool white oak. And the oak itself has everything that you could have in a piece of lumber, which is pretty awesome. It has a piece of burl in there. It has the rays because it's oak. It has those cool rays in it. It also has crotch figure in there and some spalting. So it pretty much has everything you could want in a slab. Todd Smith says, did a river board, spots on the wood would not keep the resin on it. Why could that be? So were they little dimples? Like the resin was like being pushed away and creating a valley? Is that what you mean, Tom? If that is what you mean, more than likely there was something on the surface, like some sort of oil or dirt or something that was pushing the epoxy away. 2 ways to get rid of that. One is before you pour epoxy to wipe off the surface with isopropyl alcohol to clean it. Another way is to just take your finger with a glove and just touch the little dimples, and it will relieve the surface tension. It should be fine. Bob Williams says, this is going to be my first time trying to work a table, but I want to make it an outdoor patio furniture table. Have any tips for it to be outside? Okay, so this is a question that I get quite often. And I would say if you're going to use epoxy as a finish or have some sort of river table or anything, it's not good to be outside. Um, not structurally, it's fine. It'll hold up to weather and things like that, but it turns yellow in sunlight. And if your piece is not fully encapsulated by the epoxy, excuse me, if your piece is not fully encapsulated by the epoxy, then it will move, and the epoxy will want to separate from the wood. So those are the two risks that you run uh, having some wood outside or like a table like that outside. And Joey says, "Hey guys, this guy is the best teacher out there. He knows his stuff when it comes to woodworking." Hey Joey, I appreciate that. Lars Anderson says, "Hello from Sweden. Thanks for all the nice tips." Hey, no problem. No problem at all. But yeah, once again, guys, ask me any question. We're good as long as it pertains to epoxy woodworking. Nothing too crazy. Uh, so you guys are awesome. Thank you. Jamie says, I bought 750 milliliters of Epoxy and I went to make wall art. I'm trying to imagine how big / small that 750 milliliters would fill at maybe half-inch depth. So that's hard because I need to convert milliliters to gallons. Let me see really quickly on here. But getting back to the project, the White Oak project, that person also wants, I'll be on his podcast coming up soon, and we're going to be working a podcast table. Now, I don't know if you guys know what a serpentine table is, but while I find this milliliters to gallon question, let me know if you know what a serpentine table is in the comments. Okay, so let's see, 750 milliliters. Okay, so 750 milliliters is not, it's like a fifth of a gallon. So obviously less than 1 liter. I would say 750 milliliters wouldn't do very much at it'll maybe it would do probably somewhere in the neighborhood of, if you had like a 2 to 3 inch wide river at half-inch pour, you could probably get away with about 8 or 9 inches wide, something like that. But it's hard. It's kind of hard to tell. But Jamie, that's a good question. Kind of stumped me on that one. Tom Smith says he is breaking up really bad. If he answered my question, can someone relay it? Hey, Tom. Sorry. Is it okay now? But Tom, I answered your question by saying that you could clean the surface with isopropyl alcohol, or if you take your finger with a glove on and touch the little dimples, it should bring them back. It should relieve the surface tension. So Renee Porter says it's shaped like a snake. And Melanie says half round table. Yeah, so guys, AJ Nurse says it's a curved circle table. Yeah, see, AJ News. AJ is right. It's a quarter of a circle. 100% correct. So yeah, so it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I think I have an idea how we're going to make it. But yeah, AJ is correct. It's a quarter of a circle. So if you obviously have a circle, cut it in a quarter, it would be, but it has 2 radiuses. It has a radius on the outside, and then the part where you sit has a smaller radius. Tom Smith says, thank you. I can't hear but every 5th word. Sorry about that. Guys, let me know in the comments, am I still breaking up quite a bit? And if I am, it's probably because of the weather outside. So I'm trying to do my best. Let me know if you can hear me or if I am breaking up quite a bit. So that serpentine table is going to be kind of challenging. Jay Thomas says stream is coming through fine here. That's great. And Jamie says he's clear to me. Okay, awesome, guys. That's great. And Maddie says it's going good here. Thanks, Maddie. Appreciate that. So yeah, So that serpentine table is going to be kind of crazy. So I think what I'm going to do, the way that I'm going to make it is probably make some sort of giant compass to give myself a circle that's 120 inches in diameter, and then once I make that circle, I'll make a smaller circle because I think the table is going to be 3 feet across, and so I'll measure in 3 feet, make another radius, have two circles, cut that quarter piece out like as a template to use to make my base, and then I'll probably use some thin plywood so that it will bend around the radius of my form. So it's going to be really fun. I think it'll be a great video series because it's going to be a challenge, something that I haven't done before, and hopefully you guys will like it when I share it with you guys. Robbie Robin says, hello from Orlando, making a black walnut tray. What would you do with a very thin 2-inch long crack running in from the so there's a couple things you can do with a very thin 2-inch long crack. You can always fill it. Obviously, if you're filling it with epoxy, I would fill it with epoxy, but you can also, if your charcuterie board is big enough, if it runs all the way to the edge, turn your board sideways, put a bow tie or a Dutchman sideways on the end grain. It kind of hides it. Dutchmans, they can look pretty. They can accent the wood, but I tend to like them a little bit more hidden, or using the same wood. So it kind of throws you for a loop there. You kind of think to yourself like, wait, what is that? Is that a bow tie? Oh, that's super cool. That's kind of the way that I like to do it. AJ says, video feed is tiles now and again, but audio is fine. Okay, great. Renee Porter says, Robbie, black walnut serving tray sounds beautiful. Please post pictures on the Facebook page. So, Robbie, yeah, Renee is talking about, we have a Facebook group. It's a private group, but you're more than welcome to join the group and post pictures. We would really appreciate that if you haven't joined already. Jennifer says, hey, Nathan, and all y'all good viewers. What's up, Jennifer? How you doing? Craig Elliott says, what's up, Nathan? Glad I caught the end. LOL. One of these days I'll catch the whole live stream. Well, good news. We're only 13 minutes in, so we should still have a little bit left. Sharon says, first time here. Always want to learn. Sharon, that's great. Yeah, you guys feel free to post any comments and any questions that you have. We've had some good questions already this evening. Another question that I had recently, again, was the difference between casting epoxy and tabletop epoxy. As you guys know, I've kind of talked about this a lot, but I really want to make things clear. And people are asking, can you use a tabletop epoxy to fill a river? And yes, you totally can use a tabletop epoxy to fill a river. Here are the cons to that, though. Well, I'll give you the pros and cons, okay? The pros to that would be it can be more cost effective because casting resin tends to be a little bit more expensive than tabletop epoxy. The problem with tabletop epoxy is you can usually only pour it an 1/8 inch, max a 1/4 inch at a time. And if you're trying to pour something 2 inches thick, you know, that's 8. That'll be 8 different pours you have to do, and you have to take time to let that set up between each one. So you're putting in several hours of working time mixing and pouring. Whereas if you get the proper casting epoxy is there to fill the void. It's designed to set up slower and let the bubbles release from the edges so that you guys can get a good bond, and you can also pour it one time. To me, it's kind of a no-brainer to get the right stuff. Because epoxy is expensive, as you guys know, and if you do it right, you won't waste a whole lot of epoxy. Which brings me to another point. In the last video, I had a lot of people say I wasted a lot of epoxy, which we kind of did, but it was a good learning experience for my friend Justin. He pushed it over the edge. Well, it's okay to waste a little bit of it because that's all part of learning, but also you do need it to roll over the edge to get a good coverage on the outside. If you're afraid, sometimes if you're afraid to push it over the edge, you don't get a good smooth edge without any ripples and things like that. Craig says, sweet, I just posted a few of my latest projects on my Facebook page. I have some big builds coming up. Can't wait to share them. Yeah, that would be great, Craig. DK says, how to suspend streaks of colors through a clear epoxy? Okay, that's a great question. Now, the trick is you want to mix up your clear epoxy and pour it in, and then let it set up. So you want to let it set up till it's like really thick honey, okay? That kind of consistency. And then you'd want to either take a stir stick or something and suspend your colors, whatever you want to suspend in the epoxy. The epoxy's thick enough that it will hold it and won't let it sink to the bottom. Michelle says, if the wood is soaking up the epoxy in some spots, will a second and third coat fill it in, or is there something to seal the wood with first? Michelle, great question. You should be doing, if you're using epoxy as a finish and coating the surface, you want to use epoxy as a seal coat. Okay, and so we've also, if you've been to my channel and watched my videos, we do that between 2 and 3 times, depending on how thirsty the wood is. But you want to do that. You want to mix up 1 ounce per square foot, spread it on super thin with a shower squeegee, like the glass squeegees you get at Home Depot that squeegee the shower doors. Spread it on super thin, let it set up, and let it cure. Scuff sand it, and do that 2 to 3 times. If you're using epoxy as a finish. So great question. AJ right there says, seal the wood with a thin coat of epoxy first. Yep, awesome. Patrick says, breaks over at work. Enjoyed what I could. Have a good night, Nate. Hey, thanks, Patrick. I'm glad you're on. So Russ says, I made 2 epoxy river cutting boards. Both had bubbles on either side of the epoxy when it cured. Why? I even coated the sides first with epoxy. So that's a great question. But hey, Russ, can you specify what kind of epoxy did you use? And also, are you talking about either side of the river, the epoxy river? So like on the inside edge where you poured the epoxy, or are you talking on the outside edges of your cutting boards? Let me know. Jay says, or use a vacuum chamber like the phone repair guys. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Peter says, scroll back up to my question at 728. Let's see here. Did I miss it, Peter? Hey, Peter, I don't see your question. If you would, you can ask again. That'd be great. Sharon says, do you have a brand? Hey, Sharon, that's a great question. Yes, I do have a few brands that I like. As far as tabletop epoxy goes, Stone Coat Countertops is #1. They have in my opinion, have the best tabletop countertop epoxy out there. As far as casting epoxy, my new favorite is Incredible Solutions. They excuse me, I yawned. Incredible Solutions has a great product as well. And if you go on Amazon and search for Incredible Solutions liquid plastic, you can use my promo code, which is GoodView10WW at checkout, and get yourself 10% off there. Now, I'm not just throwing that out there because I get any kind of commission on or anything like that, but I know it helps you guys out in the long run. But also, I really like that product. That's the product that I use when I do large pours. Bill says, "Good evening, buddy." What's up, Bill? And Michelle says, "Thank you. I'll do more coats on my table." Yeah. Hey, Peter. Once again, if you want to type in your question, that'd be great. I would love to answer that question. I didn't see it at the top. Sorry about that. Tamara, how's it going? How are you? Thank you for joining us on Shop Talk Tuesday. So, as far as Incredible Solutions goes, they have, because the reason why I like their product is because it sets up. It takes a little while longer to set up, like 3 days, but you don't have. It sets up slow enough that it makes a good bond with the wood, but also it rids the bubbles pretty well. I haven't had any problems with bubbles, and I tried to get bubble. So in the nightlight that I'm making for my daughter, I tried to incorporate some air into that using the Incredible Solutions. I did trap a few bubbles, but not very many. It did a pretty good job at releasing those. So that's also another benefit to the Incredible Solutions. Bill says, brand of sandpaper for an orbital sander. What do you prefer? I forgot the brand, so I'm really sorry, but you can find them on Amazon. What they are is they're for an orbital sander. I use 5-inch ones, but they're like a mesh screen. It's like an Abralon style. But you can go on there, and I think if you just type in mesh sanding discs, you'll find them on Amazon. But that's the ones I prefer because when you're sanding epoxy, it wants to clog up the sandpaper. And so I actually prefer those because the screen allows the vacuum to work better and suck it up through the sandpaper. Sorry, I wish I knew the brand. Sorry about that, Bill. So as far as the nightlight goes, I'm still working on that, working on the base now. We'll have some videos coming up soon. Also, if you guys remember that fire charcuterie board, kind of looks like flame and something like that, we're going to be finishing that up in the next day or two. So be looking for a video on that as well. Bill, no worries. Appreciate that, Bill. So those are the new videos that are coming out soon. Also, if you guys are familiar with Daryl Eves, he is a big time YouTuber. He's got like 29 gold play buttons or something like that. Has several different channels. He has a 30-day challenge that's out right now about how to boost views and things on your YouTube channel. So that's another thing that I'm trying to do now, just kind of being open with you guys. But we're going to try to ramp up Good View Woodworks a little bit, kind of give you some better content and things like that. So if you see some irregularities on the channel here, it's just because I'm trying to figure out the best way to upload and relay the best information to you guys. Peter says, realized my question was too long. Okay. Peter says, took your class on river table. I'm building my own. I built my own sled and used a router to plane. I'm worried it may have some minor high spots due to my poor construction. Hey Peter, so I appreciate you taking my class. That was great. So he says, should I wait to fix this after the pour or have it pro plane now? Okay, so Peter, great question. It does not matter if it's fully flat now. You can always flatten it after the pour, and I would actually suggest flattening after the pour because you're going to have to do that anyway. You're going to have to sand it down and finish it. That's what I do. Even if I have some spots that are a little bit low, I'll pour it first and then I'll plane it down later because I'd rather get all the planing done at one time. Hopefully that answers your question. And Russ says, mine was inside by the river. Okay, Russ, great question. Also, one more question for you, Russ. Sorry about that. But can you tell me what kind of epoxy you were using? Was it a tabletop epoxy or was it a casting epoxy, and which brand? Those will help me answer your question. Usually what happens is I teach not to seal the inside edges, the thing that we've changed over the past few years where I'm actually learning as well. Um, and so if you use incredible solutions or a casting resin, it will allow the bubbles to escape because it's porous. You want that though. You want it to soak into the edges, create a good bond, and then be able to release the bubbles. If it's too hot or using the wrong type of resin, it will cure too quickly and trap the bubbles inside. Hopefully that makes sense. Um, So Michelle says Diablo is the brand name of that sandpaper. Hey, Michelle, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, Diablo sandpaper. Peter says, you don't think the epoxy will find the spots and run under? Yes, I do. The thing is, make sure that if you're making a river table, you want to clamp your project down. And to me, it's okay that the epoxy finds the little low spots because you know that your river soaked up as much epoxy as possible. I pretty much always, every single time, have some epoxy run under the slab. To me, that it doesn't matter too much. But if you don't want it to happen, one thing you can do is take a bead of silicone and run it on the underside of your slab before your two pieces for your river table. Run it under this edge, lay it down. That way, when you pour the river in, it can't seep under because the caulk is preventing that happening. Garland Burns says, "Hey, handsome, keep up the good work, bro." Thank Oh, you're so nice of you to call me handsome. So, Peter, hope that answers your question. Bill says, I think you are near me or close. So, where do you recommend I take a large project to get sanded or planed in the Williamsburg, Virginia area? If I'm wrong, says if I'm wrong about your location, sorry. Hey, Bill, no. I work in Williamsburg, but there's a place really close, which is Yorktown, not too far away from you. The best place to get it planed in Yorktown is a guy. His number here. If you actually, Bill, if you go to my Instagram page, you can direct message me there. If you don't have Instagram, you can direct message me on Facebook, or you can go to my website, goodviewwoodworks.com, and there is a contact us page, a place where you can send me an email. You can email me there, and I'll give you his contact information. But the guy has a big mill, lumber mill, and he has an attachment on there. It has an 8-inch wide cutter head, and he can plane 8 inches at a time, which is really sweet. He does have a $60 minimum for an hour, so he charges $60 an hour, but it's a 1 hour minimum. So he can do it in like 20 minutes, both sides. So it's about $60 to have it planed down, and in my opinion, $60 is worth it, especially if you're planing something really big. Peter says, "You give me the confidence to move ahead." Hey, Peter, appreciate that, man. Yeah, it is a little nerve-wracking sometimes when you have a lot of epoxy that you're pouring because obviously epoxy is expensive. I know how you feel. You don't want to waste it. Johnny says, how do I mix my epoxy so it doesn't fill with tons of micro bubbles? Johnny, great question. If you have a small amount of epoxy, you want to mix with a stir stick. If you use a drill mixer, it will incorporate a lot of air. But if you have at least a quart that you're mixing up at once, what you do is you take your drill mixer, you push it all the way down to the bottom before you start the drill. Then you start it medium speed, and then when you bring it up to the surface to scrape the edges, you want to slow the drill mixer down really slow, just to scrape the edges before you plunge it back to the bottom and let it sit on the bottom and stir. So speed it up. So that's the best way to not incorporate so much air into the epoxy. That's a great question. Bill says, I'll hit you up on Instagram. Wow, 60 for that is awesome. Thanks. Yeah, I thought so too. They do a great job. Peter says, start with the mixer head under the epoxy and never let it leave the epoxy until you finish. Yep, Peter, that's exactly right. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for all the questions. I really appreciate it. Once again, it's been a great Shop Talk Tuesday live. I had a lot of people in here. If you would do me a favor, hit that like button, because when you click the like button, it puts the video higher up in the queue. It gets more people's attention. So if you would do that for me, please, that would be great. And I want to thank everybody for showing up this evening. I hope everybody's staying safe. You guys have all been in my prayers. I hope your family staying healthy. And with all the COVID stuff happening and stuff like that. So you guys are awesome. Tamara says, Tabby says, hey, too, we love your vids. Hey, thanks, Tamara. Tell Tabby I said hello. Peter says, you're the man, Nate. Jamie says, thanks again. So, guys, yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. It's been great. I always enjoy Shop Talk Tuesdays. The two ways that you can help me support this channel would be to watch the videos and share the videos on social media. That would be great. Doesn't cost anything to you. And if you do want to support monetarily, we do have the super chat that is available every Tuesday night as well. So you guys are awesome. I'm going to leave that here, and I thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. And remember to catch the videos that are coming up this week. And also remember that every Shop Talk Tuesday, I try to show up at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you guys can remember that, I'll try to give you a heads up before it starts. But just remember that that's when Shop Talk Tuesday starts. With that being said, guys, thank you. Good night. And I appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. See you next time. God bless.